fabulous to be here to talk about how to reboot your creativity. So come, let us go down memory lane. Are you ready? Great. So what do you see yourself doing when you were very young? I see myself reading a lot, but I also see myself doing a lot of things that would be considered very strange today. In those days, soda bottles were made of glass and had metal caps. I'd collect the metal caps, flatten them with a stone, and making a hole at one end, I'd pass through it a twine or a piece of wire and then wear it as earrings. I also made bujos, bullet journals, except that we called them diaries in those days. It did not, I would draw out a nice pattern on a piece of paper, even a face, color it beautifully, and then stick it on cardboard and make two cutouts, one for the front and one for the back. In between them, I'd place a bunch of plain paper and then thread them all together to form a spiral bound diary. It used to be my constant companion. In that, I would jot down motivating phrases, inspiring quotes, and other tidbits from the books and newspapers that I read. I am sure you did something like that too. Maybe collected stamps, made papier-mâché jewelry, or even created castles out of paper cardboard boxes. The list is endless. We had to entertain ourselves. So we did what we enjoyed doing. We discovered what worked for us, and we did it to the best of our abilities and the availability of materials. If nothing else, we'd gather together friends and siblings and play house or doctor with the available, whatever was available, make-believe utensils and equipment. So how many of you remember drinking umpteen cups of fake tea or then pretend operating on your friend who has suddenly developed a serious stomach ailment? It did help that in those days, we did not have TV with all-day programming or smartphones full of game apps. The biggest memory of childhood is of doing or making something. We would, spend our time immersed in activities that really enthused us and raised our spirits to high levels. Did what we do have any commercial value? Would people like what we did or did not do? These concerns did not bother us. We ate well, slept well, and woke up the next day enthused to do again what gave us a lot of joy. We can say that childhood is a period when our creativity operating system is running on full flow. We were being creative. If you were to ask Yoda, he defined being creative as CREATIVE, which could be expanded to be read as create, I have. But then we grew up, we got jobs, went to college, we started families. In other words, we became adults. If I were to ask you that how many of you are still pursuing your childhood interests? So if you are in a creative field such as writing, music, art and craft, advertising, you might say a loud yes. But suppose you're a manager in a firm or an IT professional or even in the field of finance. You might tell me, Sonia, childhood interests are fine, but they have no place in adult life. Wasn't it Neil Gaiman who said adulting is overrated? But this brings to mind an incident that happened when I did a stint as the head of a design institute. We taught fashion, jewelry, and interior designing, and the highlight of the year was the annual exhibition in which the fashion design students displayed their collections for sale. The only hitch that year was that we had a very limited budget and there was no money to buy racks or even rent them out. And everyone knows display can make or break a sale. So we thought, and then we stopped thinking because we were getting nowhere. I went back home, did my chores and responsibilities, and went to sleep at my usual time. Suddenly in the middle of the night, I woke up with a start. I looked at the time. It was 3 a.m. Else I definitely would have shouted, Eureka! Because at that moment, I had found the solution to our problem. In our institute, the desks were made of wood and metal. The tops were wooden and the legs were long, slim and made of metal. The idea that came to me was that we'd append these desks and the legs would form the racks while the wooden tops would form the supports on either side. The idea worked very well. The students loved it. The displays were marvelous. The buyers loved it. They bought it. It was a win-win. The reason I'm sharing this incident is to demonstrate that when our creativity is on high, it generates all kinds of solutions for any situation, not only for those in creative professions or for those related to creative professions. In fact, well-known psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who has done intensive research on creativity, tells us that creativity is what gives meaning to our lives. And if we lead a life with creativity, we are leading a fuller life. Well, I was leading a creative life. I was a writer basically. I am a writer basically. So even when I was doing fashion and jewelry designing, I was always on the lookout to write. As a result of which I wrote a lot of articles and columns for trade publications and magazines. Then I started writing fiction and I loved it. In 2009, I came across NaNoWriMo, which is expanded to read as National Novel Writing Month. In this, people all over the world write a novel of 50,000 words in the month of November. I wrote my first novel then, and then when I became the NaNoWriMo ML for India in 2011, I enjoyed motivating thousands of people in India who signed up for it to reach their noveling goals. In 2016, I got the urge to try out an experiment. I decided to publish one chapter of my novel every week, but I would make it available only to those who subscribed to it. The response was terrific. People loved the story, they loved the characters, they knew the names of the characters, and my inbox was full of testimonials and demands for the next chapter. It was going very well. Then at chapter 11, I stopped writing. The words refused to flow. At first, I made excuses that my story has taken a change, so it will take some time, or my editor has gone on leave and that is why it is getting delayed. But I knew there was a problem. Slowly, the demands for new chapters fizzled out, as did my creativity. Something had gone wrong. My creativity had come to a standstill. My creativity operating system had stalled. So how did I recognize it? At first, I denied that it had anything to do with my creativity. Then I got angry with myself for not doing the work. My close friends would try to motivate me and, counsel me. And I found that very ironic and sad because here I was motivating rhymers to write their novel, but I couldn't motivate myself. Eventually, I turned numb. Nothing anyone said made a difference or mattered. What about you? Have you ever come across such a situation where you feel stuck, where you feel as if you are in a swamp, where your thinking is fuzzy or pressed down by the demands of everyday mundane life and feeling that all expressions of your creativity are at a full stop? If so, then a creativity intervention is needed, which is what was needed in my case. So I did something. I read, I researched, and I thought a lot. Overthinking does have its benefits sometimes. And then I realized that I was afraid. Me afraid? I'm a born Sikh, and Sikhs live life big size. Who hasn't seen them singing and dancing? And their joy the vivre is always on high. And what about the Sikh regiments? They are so well known for their bravery. Boldness and courage runs in our blood. So how could I be afraid? But then again, I went back to my RRT method, the read, research, and think method. And I realized that I was afraid of not being perfect. I was afraid that the perfect story and the words that were in my mind would not be that perfect when I put them down on paper. It dawned on me that this perfection is the greatest enemy of action. This fear of not being perfect had strangled my creativity and it had robbed me of the enjoyment of life. What was to be done in that case? I went back to my RRT, read, research, and think again, and I decided to form a plan of action. I did a lot of research, I did a lot of studies, read a lot of books, and then I realized that this, fear of perfection stops us from being active creators in our own experiences. It makes us passive spectators of other people's experiences, and that would not do. So then I um, decided to reboot my creativity. It was time for a reboot, as we do for our computers. Now, if you are feeling stuck, I invite you to join me and follow these steps that might help you to get unstuck. But before you do that, I would request you to go back to your childhood and choose that activity that you were really excited to pursue. If not, then maybe there is something now that excites you to do, but you're not able to do it for whatever reasons. It could be something like woodworking, sculpture making, painting, singing, or even cooking. Go for it, I say. So here are the steps I followed. The first one is morning pages. It has been popularized by writer, filmmaker, editor Julia Cameron in her book, The Artist's Way. When you wake up in the morning, you are expected to write 3 pages. Now you might ask me, 3 pages of what? I said, no, just write. Don't worry about the punctuation. Don't worry about the grammar. Just write. And if you say, I cannot think of anything, write 3 pages of I cannot think of anything. Any Harry Potter fans here? Do you remember the pensieve? I call the morning pages the pensieve of mind clutter. As the pensieve of Harry Potter books used to remove the memories and save them and keep your mind free for more memories, this morning pages removes the mind clutter and frees up your mind for more experiences. Second, woo yourself. Right swipe on yourself and go on a date with your creative passion. Discard all inhibitions. Go on and pursue what you love doing. Rumi said, dance like no one's watching. I say, create like no one's watching. Next step up a level. When we do something again and again, we become very good at it. So I request you to prime the pump of your creativity. Do you remember the water pumps of yore, where you had to push the lever up and down for a very long time while the groundwater rose up slowly, slowly, slowly till it came out in a big gush? That water used to be so sweet, so pure, and so refreshing. And when you pursue your creative activities consistently, you are able to access the core of your creativity. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi calls this being in the flow. And this is where magic happens. Buddy up. Next up is to buddy up. Human beings are social animals and thrive in groups. So find out people who follow your same interests, join them, join groups, and share your experiences with them. The reason we do that is when we share our experiences, we gain more in terms of added information, knowledge, and enjoyment. And the last step is challenge yourself. How about challenging yourself in a competition? You have been doing your weekly, monthly, and if you're doing daily activities. And now it is time to go further and enter competitions. When we challenge ourselves, our heartbeats rise and it exhilarates us. And this excitement permeates every aspect of our life. So it makes not just our life interesting, but it makes us also very interesting. So who is not interested to be in the company of interesting people? Everyone likes interesting people. So these are some of the steps I followed, some of the strategies I adopted, and they have worked for me. They took some time, but they worked. And if you are looking to add zest to your life and become more productive and creative, I invite you to follow them in your own life. It's time to reboot your creativity now. Thank you.